Welcome back to this channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a practice that I do on a regular basis to keep my level of performance at the level of what I call ultra performance. If you've tuned into any of the episodes that I've done before, I talk about ultra performance being a level higher than peak performance, because peak performance is exactly that. It peaks, it spikes, it gets to a certain level, and then it drops significantly for a lot of people. But what I'm talking about is ultra performance, performance where you're actually performing at your highest opportunity, your highest potential, and you're actually keeping it there. Why is this topic so important, especially for us men? Well, if you haven't read my book, please do. It's called The Complete Man, and it's all about performing in all areas of your life. That's ultimately what we as men want more than anything. We want to be high performers in every aspect of our life. But it's not that easy. It takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of prioritization. So, is there a formula to be able to do it more effectively? And the answer is yes. If you take a look at everything that you do in your life, what is a central core to every single thing when it comes to performance? It's you. And within yourself, it really comes down to one particular thing, which is your state. How you actually show up every single moment when it comes to your cognitive performance, your emotional performance, your physical performance, but also your spiritual performance. And so you are ultimately the engine for your performance. You are ultimately the engine for everything that you have in your life. So you are responsible for that. So what I'm getting down to is that if you take care of your engine, and if you fine tune your engine, and you're doing regular tune-ups on your engine on a regular basis, and back in the day I used to be into cars quite a bit. So let's talk about souping up your engine. Right, back when I was younger, people used to put in turbochargers, superchargers, nitrous oxide to really get their vehicles going faster. That's kind of out the window now because the stock average car these days is tuned up and souped up, and you really don't need to do those extra things to get the horsepower out of it. But we as human beings, we do. We need to continue to grow. We need to continue to evolve and expand, which requires constant tune-ups, which requires us to soup ourselves up. So every single Friday, here's what I do. This is the most important thing for me to keep my level of performance at the ultra level. It's I block out a certain period of time, particularly in most cases the entire day, to focus on me. Now, the first thing you might be saying is, "Holy crow, Pradeep! I don't know what your schedule's like, but I don't have that time. I don't have the luxury of blocking out time on Friday." And I'm telling you, over and over and over again, I've heard this. And every single time, almost every single time, when we're working with men, we actually identify what their schedule looks like, where their prioritization, what their prioritization is, where they put their energy. Almost every single time, they're able to do exactly what I'm talking about. If you're not able to take the entire day, you can take 3/4 of a day, or potentially even the morning of Friday, or whatever day you choose to focus on yourself. Everybody, most people have the ability to do this. It just means that you are now demanding of yourself to do more in that shorter period of time. Why do I do this? It's because it excites me to think about me. It excites me to work on me. It excites me to see how I've evolved over the period of the last week. The things that I need to work on, the things that I haven't done well, the things that I've done really well, and what I want to achieve in the future. So it's something that sounds a little bit perhaps selfish for us to focus on ourselves. But if you are taking care of yourself, you're going to be able to perform even better in all areas of your life. You're going to be a better husband. You're going to be a better father. You're going to be a better business leader. You're going to have better health. You're going to be able to do all of those things by doing a regular tune up on yourself. I had a spiritual mentor back a while ago that talked about this. It's like when you go throughout the day and you are doing stuff, just some normal stuff, forget about even doing work, you tend to get dirty. You tend to get dirt on your body, on your skin. So what do you do to remove that dirt? You take a shower, right? You brush your teeth, right? To keep hygiene. So think of it from this perspective. You are doing mental, emotional, and you could even do physical hygiene, but spiritual hygiene every single Friday, or once a week. You can do it twice a week if you choose to, but a minimum, what I consider to be able to be get to that ultra performance level, is doing it once a week. So it's like doing hygiene. You want to wash that dirt away, because throughout the week We get a lot of crud on us. We get a lot of crap on us, and that's emotional crap, that's mental crap, physical crap, and we got to be able to remove that and really get back into our natural state. And that's the most important thing there. So this practice excites me, and it should excite you too if you're putting it into place. And it really goes back to a model that was created. It's an ancient model, but it's been reverted, changed, modified. It's what we call be, do, have. And it's ultimately those three components. You are a being. So, who you are, your being is the most important thing because then that determines what you do, the activities and the behaviors, the habits, the routines that you have, which ultimately leads to what you have. So, be, do, have. That's not something I created, that's something that's been talked about for centuries. So, most people focus on the have aspect. They focus on having something or what they don't have. And that's where they focus their attention, which is ultimately what I call a lagging indicator. And if you study business, if you're in business, you understand what I'm talking about because the lagging indicator is something that happens after the fact of doing an activity. So it is showing you the results that you are getting and having, so whether that's making more money, having a better relationship, having better health, all of those things that you want to have, that's a lagging indicator. That's a result of doing something, which is the second element, right? The behavior that you are doing in order to achieve what you want to achieve and have what you want to have. And then some people, so let's just say majority of people focus on the having and they get caught up with, I don't have this or I don't have that. That's a wrong attitude to have. I don't even start with have at all whatsoever. I don't start with doing. What am I doing? Because that's not exactly it either. So some people, the people that get this a little bit better, is they understand that, okay, doing is important. It's more important than having. And so what exactly am I doing or not doing to get the things that I want to get? So when you're focused on doing, you're able to modify the behaviors, you're able to modify your strategy. But here's the most important thing, and this is what I focus on my days, my creativity days, my self, you can say development days, which are Fridays. I focus on the being aspect. I focus on who am I being and how have I changed myself or evolved from last week. That is super, super exciting. And it's even exciting when I realize, hey, look, I haven't evolved at all, or I've actually gone backwards because now I've been able to identify that. And when I identify who I'm being, which is a core source of what you do, and it essentially comes down to I don't want to get into the psychological term of identity. I actually relate it more to being in terms of from a spiritual perspective and energetic perspective. But if we take a look at it from a psychological or practical perspective and how we are in society today as a physical human being, identity is what we can relate to being. Because our identity, which is essentially who we believe we are, determines what we do. We will only do things that are in alignment with our identity, unless there's extreme circumstances. For example, if someone puts us under a lot of stress or there is a threat to us, we may change our behavior based on that. But in most cases, or let me just add one other thing, under the influence of alcohol, that's another factor. In most cases, we don't change our behavior because our behavior is based on who we are being. And in psychological terms, it's our identity. That's what I focus on. From a spiritual perspective, it's a completely different animal. It's more of who you are at the soul level, at the heart level. And if you can really tune into that, that's where it becomes even more powerful. So let me just simplify this and sum this up because it's very, very important, again, to boost your level of performance, to maintain that level of high ultra performance. Ultimately, pick a day out of the week. And it should be the same day every single week. You want to be disciplined with this. If you can't take the entire day, block off a certain amount of time, whatever it is. For me, it's a minimum of 3 hours. Anything less than that, I know I haven't done it properly. If I have the entire day, great, even better. So pick what time is appropriate for you and focus on who you are being, how you've evolved, what you want to achieve. But most importantly, it's who you need to be able to do the activities to have the things that you want. Give yourself a pat on the back. Be happy, be excited, because again, let me repeat this, when you get excited about who you are being, how you've evolved, everything else becomes that much more pleasurable. Everything else becomes that much more fulfilling because you realize that it's not necessarily about what you have or what you are doing. It's more about who you are being. So essentially, and this is what Buddha talked about, this is the whole, you can say, premise of yin yang, is focus on yourself, focus on doing, but also not doing, the act of not doing. Because a lot of times you don't have to do anything to feel better, to experience life to a fuller extent, to be more satisfied, to have more peace, to have more content. All of those things that we as men strive to achieve or feel, a lot of times we don't even have to do anything. All we need to do is just modify who we're being.